Hello, storytellers at Storytelling Ron, and I'm doing this probably for my own sake, although for your sake, although actually the sake is to sell you on this, get you to understand. This is to me a revelation. Where's my mouse? This is a revelation. For the Lord RPG. I should put RPG in there, but For the Lord RPG for me is a new thing. Playing a Christian a game master and then having them play actual Christians who evangelize in a fantasy grim medieval setting, dark age setting. I had a difficult time with it, and I could not even understand how to do it until I did it. So my suggestion for you is to do it. And I'm trying to figure out like a good starter kit, maybe like a box set to do that would like, so you don't have to prepare too much, and it'd be fun to have little tokens that are pre-made and map pieces that are pre-made. It's going in my mind right now, but I think I might put that together. A starter kit that's more just a box set. But anyway, I need to get across to you. And I had this when I started this. I didn't want to do it. I didn't know how to do it. I don't want to rewrite my brain, get away from role-playing games, like regular fantasy role-playing games. But here's the thing, Christians. Fantasy comes from medieval Europe. Old white guys, medieval Europe. Okay. That's where it comes from. And it's an amalgam, a mesh of paganism and Christianity that has created fantasy. Okay. That we all love and adore, that kids love. We all write fantasy books, Lord of the Rings, whatever. That's what this is. But the problem is we Christians have removed Christianity from it. And now the pagans are taking credit for everything. They're taking credit for romance. They're taking credit for chivalry. They're taking credit for being heroes, for the knight. They're taking credit for knighthood. And that is absolutely not what they had. So we need to take it back. Or at least bring Christianity back into it and make them uncomfortable. Make ourselves uncomfortable. I don't know. But anyway, this is the game. I'm going to go through the book with you. Just to get you to, I don't know, maybe for me, it's sort of overwhelming. I mean, I've read it 200,000 times now, but maybe it's sort of overwhelming. But I want to just go through it with you. And so you can, when you look at it now, you just kind of get it and know and see it. Okay, so this is just an example of how you could put together the map pieces that I did, and how you can kind of drop things around and make a little dungeon, make a little crypt. This is kind of like a mine with obviously a pagan ritual at the end there where they control everybody. I mean, it's really like a D&D adventure. It's exactly the same thing, except that the pagans are purposely, trying to mess with people, and the Christians are coming and saying, no, there's a better way. And the simple goal is go in, find out who's suffering, and find out the pagans that are controlling them with a religion or tyranny. It could be just tyranny, it could, or whatever, and get the people to confront that tyranny. Hopefully, you can use your things to get them to surrender, or you have to fight them. In the GM, you can kind of play off, giving them that range of possibilities and with different adventures. And then once you defeat the bad guys, and then you go to the locals or even the local duke or mayor or whoever, and you can convince them that, we want to plant a church here. And they're like, fine, you helped us with this, you helped us with that. We'll let you, I guess, And then that's really it. And then once the church is planted, you get the next mission. And the church runs itself, like, the clergy from Milan or Rome will bring in the staff for the church. And then you go off and do the next mission, that you come up with. Okay, so this is just a little quote saying, hey, come and do our thing. All right, so this is the basic concept. What is a role-playing game? I just kind of describe it as simple as I can. Level of fantasy intensity. I just kind of describe how we as Christians can bring in fantastical things. Basically kind of what I just said, really. This is just me and my faith. I'm a Christian, creation, Calvinist, conservative, curmudgeon. So I want you to know what my beliefs are right from the get-go, so you know where I'm coming from. And do I require you to have exacto mundo? Do I require you to be a Calvinist? No. Do I require and here I say that it's pre-Catholic. So could you be a Catholic and play this? Yeah. I believe you absolutely can. And still feel the same as the rest of us in planting churches. Because the main thing here is planting churches, and it is a biblical, the theology is not as you know, we're not trying to go into theology and argue theology with people, but on the basic level of, what's wrong with slavery? What's wrong with sacrifice? That's what the pagans are going to do. And we're going to kill you. That kind of theology where you got to confront that is really the level of Christianity. But yes, this is about helping kids, families, in edification and responding to certain arguments by paganism then and today, which is the same old story. So there is the teachable moments in there to create for them and for oneself. For me as a GM, and seeing how we would respond to certain I don't believe in God type of anguish and mockery and scoffing. Okay, so then the next page is about the basic concepts, the Grand Minister, the rules, the setting, and everything. Players make and role play missionaries. They have a sheet to journal all gear and skills and things to remember. Each character has 6 traits, and I might have to go through. I'm going to obviously proofread this some more, but I'm very close to the end here. Each character has 6 traits that represent combined talents and skills in an area: aggression, awareness, secrecy, spirit, intellect, and society. For me, as an experienced combat fighter, it's not strength or dexterity that determine how good you are. It's how aggressive you are, in my experience. You use your strength and dexterity, you use those things, but I've seen super strong people and super dexterous people and not very good. It's how you use it. And I've seen really weak people way better, that are just aggressive, that they don't work out or anything, but they're aggressive. Okay. Awareness. That to me is, the dexterity that we consider to me, it's not the person that's the gymnast that's the best at defending themselves. It's the person that's just aware what the heck's going on. They're the ones that know how to defend themselves. They're the ones that know how to avoid and stay away. They could be a fat, plump dude, but if they're aware, they know how to avoid things. I've seen an office working looking guy doing some fighting, and he's just plump and he just knows what's going on. And I remember one time he as he was fleeing, he put his sword behind him so that he wouldn't get hit, because he knew that that's where they were going to hit him, and he just got out of that situation and was fighting again. Okay, secrecy, and this is, I got this from magicians. I used to be a member of the Magic Castle, but for 5 or 6 years, an associate member, not a magician. But I saw the magicians there, and they were all into picklocking and they had law classes and stuff. And I realized you can come from all walks of life as a magician, and old people, fat people, tall, skinny people. It wasn't that they were dexterous or agile. It was that they were into it. They were so into it, that they got good at it. Whether it was the hand manipulation or learning the lock. So to me, secrecy is like, these people are into this kind of criminal activity, and thusly they will always go to that and look for the ways to do it. And it doesn't necessarily mean that they're evil criminal, but they could be magicians, they could be for fun, it could be whatever, but they're just into that type of cool secrecy type of stuff. So, stealth. To me, a fat person can be very stealthy because they're into it. They're really into hiding, and it doesn't have to be that you're dexterous. Spirit, intellect, society. Okay. It's a D20 system, because I love D20. I want D20. I want to roll nat 20, nat 1. I love it. And the weapons all feel just like D&D. It's a D20 system. The biggest change, and all these traits, aggression, awareness, and secrecy, they're all similar. +3, +4. There's a +5. You can go higher too. It just costs a lot more to get there. But everything in here is upgradable with glory points, because the glory point, you get basically on average, a glory point is experience points. You just get 1 every hour. And there's a little chart here on what things cost. And they're from 1 to the highest, the most expensive thing to upgrade are traits, because they're a number that is all encompassing, right? So aggression of 3, and you want to go to 4, costs you 4 glory points. If you want to go to 5, it costs you 5. So that's why they're so expensive, because aggression covers a lot of things. It covers fighting, physical fighting. Aware covers aiming and dodge, dodge and dexterity stuff, but it also covers aiming. So a woman can get a high aware and become really good with ranged weapons. And again, women and men are different. I don't want, and this is really, I just watched this. Critical Drinker did a review or the trailer for the new Peter Pan film, And where Wendy, it's all kind of woke now, and Wendy becomes, and in the old film, she was a mother to the boys, to the Lost Boys. She taught them maturity. She taught them how to, she used womanhood in her young feminine girl to show them that they can't be kids their whole life. They got to grow up. And that's what I hate about today's modern women, and Critical Drinker picked on this, is that they're making, in the new one, they're making the woman fight and act like a boy, or fight and act like a man. I don't like that. I don't like that they think equality is that a woman has to act like a man, with fighting and brutality. A woman has her own qualities and strengths that is needed. And I know that by experience. I would be dead in a ditch if it weren't for women. So, whatever. Okay. It's a D20 system. Okay. So getting a 12 or over is generally a success to hit or succeed at a skill. The GM may change that number. So if you're playing with kids, just do 12 the whole time. Don't even worry about different armor classes or whatever. I mean, if you want to give the kids a better defense because they have a shield and helm, but 12 can be the number that they always have to roll, whether they hit the bad guys, whether they jump, whether they climb, whether they preach, whether they persuade. You can just keep it simple like that, and that's the game. That's it. We're done. But as you progress, as they progress, as you as a GM get more comfortable, start changing that number. Start adding little penalty dice in there. For added bonuses and penalty dice to rolls, this game uses die ranks. So other than traits, that have, the pluses like ability scores, everything changes with die ranks. And the die ranks change, you upgrade the die ranks. Die 4 to die 6 to die 8 to die 10 to die 12. Beyond die 12, if you go from die 12 to a second die, like die 4, it costs you 4 glory points if you want that extra die 4. If you want to raise that up to die 6, it costs you 6 glory points. So that it gets that more expensive as you really get, that high level or whatever. But the main 5 ranks is die 4, die 6, die 8, die 10, die 12. And so you could have a sword, your aggression is +4, so you have sword +4. Yes. You can upgrade it to sword +4, die 4. So that's 1 rank of upgrade, with a glory point. And you can keep doing that. And every skill, same thing, die 4, die 6, die 8. You can add your trait that fits with that skill plus the die ranks. And that's the game. And I don't have a skill list, although I will start making suggestions in like add-ons and stuff for skills, but you can come up with any skill. So last night we were playing and the warrior decided he wanted to taunt. So he spent 1 glory point and had taunt plus D4. And he can use a social bonus with that taunt because he wanted to draw the enemies to him so that the clerics wouldn't get attacked too much because he has really good armor. And then he also has shiny Brigandine armor, which he was able to get. And that's a D4. And I said, and that I just gave him because of a great roll he did. And so I said, you can combine those if you tell me that. And so he'll get a D6 with taunting with his, with his armor, if he's got his armor on and he's showing off and come get you, And if he says something to the effect of his armor, I will give him a D6 to his taunt instead of, and not just the D4. So it's that simple, that open-ended. As far as the skills, you can do anything. You can start developing your character that way. You can create a bard from any of your characters if you want. You can create, and I use the bard as an example. But you can become a blacksmith. I want a skill of smithing. Okay, so next time you get a glory point, plant that church or convert those people. And what I mean by convert, I don't mean they become Christian. I mean you convert them in the sense that they are open to allowing a church to be planted in their area so they could learn from the clergy, and you can go off and do the next mission. Characters have vitality, which is how much pain and suffering, so hit points. And to me, vitality can go up and down very quickly because we have a second thing called wounds, and I'll explain that. But vitality is just hit points, and they can go up and down with heal. They can with rest very quickly, so that's that. Okay, I'll go on. Successful hits with weapons do damage to vitality. Armor can absorb some of that damage. So it's the same as D&D. You basically have to hit a 12. If they have a shield, it's +2, so 14. But let's just say 12. And you do this kind of the same damage as you would with, well, more like OSR, but D&D, same thing. Like a sword does D6, axe does D8. But those can be upgraded too. You can actually spend a glory point and go from D6 on your sword to D8. Now, why is that? My own experience. Swinging at someone is one thing, but swinging and knowing how to get that last thrust of pain in there, that's with training and experience. With the same weapon. So someone swinging an axe can certainly do D8 on you, but someone who's skilled in an axe can do much more damage. So you can upgrade your weapons to literally to up to D12. So you can have a sword that does D12, and that's because that's a very skilled swordsman. They can increase their 2-hit with glory points, and they can increase their damage with glory points. Now, somebody wearing armor can has an armor save after they get hit. So the combat does add another little level there. But here's the thing: everybody gets one attack per turn, no matter what. One roll. The reason I do that is because I just got tired in D&D of all these freaking rolls. But I do have an armor save though, so you can attack, and that represents how many ever attacks. When you attack, and then the person, and armor saves have been great. The players love it because they're like, they got hit. Oh no! And they got an armor save. Come on, armor save! So that's been great. And it makes sense to me because in my experience, I get hit a lot. And there's an absorption going on there. There's a dodge and deflect, which is the defense. There is that because there's a plenty of moving around and getting away from that. But there's plenty of times where I actually get hit, and it affects me in minor ways, and then it can build up too. So there is that, and I love doing that. So everyone does get an armor save. Well, not everyone, but it depends on if you have armor. And so everyone, so wearing like say leather is a D4, so that reduces like the sword by D4. And all of these things I'm talking about, keep it simple. But as you progress, those little numbers in there, and I'll explain it here in a sec, can expand out. Okay, so Nat 20 roll. Sorry, you get Nat 20s, Nat 1s. Okay, the clergy have faith points based on their spirit trait. These can be spent to bless, heal, perform miracles to aid the missionaries. That may be the hardest part of this game, but I'm gonna stick with this. And I don't think it's that hard, but some get it and some don't. But anyway, your spirit is your wisdom. Your spirit, say you have a +5 because you're a clergy. And 4 and a 5 is like the good number to start with. So you have, let's say 5. You have 5 faith points, okay? And that's every encounter. So you get this faith, hope, we will prevail here. So let's say the clergy does that in the first turn. We will prevail here, my friends. So he's trying to give him a bless for that encounter. And he says, I want to affect every, there's a party of maybe 4. So he wants to try to affect everyone. So he gets a D4 roll. So that's 1 faith point he spent. He wants to give him a bonus of D4, because remember, using the die ranks. So that's 1 faith point for the deliverance. It's deluge, how many he affects. Deliverance is the how much. And then duration is for how many turns. Okay? So those are the, how many does he want to affect? Deluge. For how strong does he want to do it? Deliverance. And for how long? Duration. Okay, so he's spending 3 of his 5 faith points. So it's a beginning cleric, like first level. They don't have levels in this game. It's all these upgrades. First level. So that's it. That's what he spends, and he only has 2 faith points left. But that's the beginning. That's how you do it. I do have an optional rule that you can get a faith point and reduce your vitality because you're really trying. But that's just, I don't know. It's in there, but anyway, I don't use it. I have never used it in the game. I let them run out and they just have to fight or run away or whatever they got to do, because they can upgrade that too. So if you have 5 faith points, you can upgrade that and get a D4. So, and you spend a glory point. So now you have 5 faith points for every encounter, and you roll a D4 and you have, how many ever that added to the 5. And that once they get to D4 and D6, I feel like they get enough to do things in the game. Okay, so then the 6 traits are just explained here, and then this are the basic character classes, and it's very simple. Here's what you do to make your character. You just start off with +3, +5, +3, +1, and you can mix, move them around if you want to average them out or whatever. That's fine by me. If you want to do like a +4, +4, and then you have to put all of these into the 6 traits, and you basically decide based on what you're going to do. Are you going to be a Holy Knight Squire? You better put +5 into aggression and maybe +3 into spirit. If you're just going to be a mercenary soldier, you could probably put +5 into aggression and +3 into aware, because you're more fighting dude. And for the Holy Knight, he gets 1 blessing, which is, so I differentiate magic and then blessings. Faith, blessings and miracles, and then magic. In this, magic is what the pagans use, and faith and blessings blessings and miracles is what the Christians use. And what I've noticed, there is a difference. The pagans use magic. Magic is theatrics, pageantry, and manipulation to control others and to take advantage of them or whatever. And in the church, the faith is, they don't even use components. They just use their faith, their spirit. For the magic, they got to use their intellect points and their spirit points. So it's intellect is prep points. I'm sorry, I'm going into the weeds with this, but that's for the villains anyway. But I explain it later for the villains. They got to use prep points and faith points. Anyway. And yes, there will be a magi that I'm adding on later that can use fireball, Greek fire, and that uses prep points, the intellect, and that's going to be an add-on. So, but it will be there later. I'm focusing on this right now. The magi comes in later. He comes in. And there have been well known historically magi that have converted to Christianity. And they didn't necessarily use fireball or anything, but they gave up their magician ways. But anyway, I'm going to use fireball because I know we all have fireball. But it's a matter of Greek fire. It's a matter of black powder. It's a matter of smoke and fireworks and all that kind of and demolition. So that's in the works. I have it, but I haven't put it in this. It's going to be in the add-on. Okay, so a nun and patron lady is what the women have here. And I will allow a woman to be a rogue scout, but they're focusing on their bow. But the patron and lady and nun. And watch the playthroughs. They play their roles. The women and play nuns and patrons very well and very effectively, and change the course of a combat as well. Not by wielding battle axes either. And I gave them different things that they can do that affect combat, but yet still be a woman in that situation. Okay, so, and yeah, even my own daughter is, because I've done 5e with her. She is like she doesn't want to, she doesn't believe that I'm doing this. Like, she thinks, no, but we want to fight. And I'm like, yeah, but you've been taught that, and you're being persuaded you can do that. But she loves the Lord, but you can't do that. And she's at the age, she's 18, so she's at the age where I'm having a hard time getting her to do anything with me. But we did a lot of 5e, and then I've only tried to play with this once with her suitor. They were playing with me, and then she got sick. She got sick, not from this, but she was getting sick right in the middle of the game that we started, and we never, haven't gone back to it since. She's making me play Terraria with him because she's trying to relive their childhood that we had together with him now, and now she's conscripting me into that. I don't know why, but I'm going to get her back on this. I'm going to convince her. Don't worry. But the women that I've had play this, the Christian actors that have joined in, they were full on board with this. They were good. Okay. So these 2 pages, look, I'm ranting here, but the rules are for these 2 pages, and they're just guides starting the character. And then this is how you make the characters. So this is just me, the character sheet, trying to explain how to make, fill in the stuff for the characters. And I'll go through gear and burden. Here it is right here, 2 pages. The weapons, just like D&D. You got their basic weapons. Now, let them pick whatever they want, and then really encourage them to think about their character. What kind of a character are they? Are they rich? Are they poor? Are they warrior? Are they clergy? What would just always say, what do you think your character would actually have? What do you think they would actually, like that? Don't try to discourage them from trying to do some min-max thing. The styles give you an additional gameplay combat element to it that you don't have to start with. You can ignore the styles and just do regular damage for now. You could even you could even ignore the gear rules if for now and just say what makes sense. You can't carry 3 or 4 weapons. You can carry 2 weapons. It just makes sense out of it. Or if they carry a 3rd, then they can't carry any climbing gear or camping gear. And these things all just matter in the sense of if you have a torch, if you have a lantern, then you're good. I'm not even going to worry about that, like the lighting in the dungeon or whatever, in the crypts. If they have it, good. Same with camping gear. If they don't have camping gear, I might just give them a minus D4 to the next day, like just for a little bit, like one minus D4 for their first roll, something like that. I just kind of play with that. If they don't have camping gear, does someone have camping gear? Great, roll. See, and if they roll really high with their, with camping gear would be intellect, because intellect just is crafting. Intellect is crafting. Would it, or maybe it'd be spirit? I don't know. Camping gear. If you're a nun and you're putting down your camping gear, I guess spirit. Yeah, roll spirit. You got camping gear. If you roll really high, everybody gets a D4 for a good rest. An inspiration point, an inspired die. Inspired die are die ranks. So you get a D4, you get a D6, you get a D8. You can combine them, and if you combine it, it's D4. It goes up. You don't get 2 dice. You combine them to upgrade each die. And the only time you do have 2 die is if it's holy or unholy, something like spectacular, like an angel thing or a demon possessed thing, undead or something. Okay, so armor. What armor would they have? Just pick the armor, and then they get an armor save. So when they get hit, that reduces the damage. Now, also, I do a minimum to 1, but like if they save and reduce all the damage, then they still take 1. But it's based on the weapon. If it's a rat, they're not going to take a minimum 1 from that bite. The armor protects them. Although I would say a rat could crawl through and avoid the armor, but that's only based on if you think they're laying, or, they're resting, and then the rat sneaks in and does it. So use common sense in these situations. But if they're fighting the rat and they're kicking it, then the rat's not going to have a good chance. Unless it's a swarm of rats, then and there's a swarm in here that could avoid the armor save. See, so that's how dangerous that is. So again, just use like visually, and then make sure you talk it out with them if there's something unique that I have not accounted for in the game. Make sure I think the rats can swarm up through your armor, and they go, yeah, but I have D8. Well, let's reduce it to D6 then, because they can sneak through, kind of thing. Oh, all right, fine, or D4, kind of thing. So, and this is the gear, and they can pick, and the gear is put into heavy. You can carry 2 heavy, 3 medium, and 4 light, and that's for everybody. I know. Can a nun do that? Here's the thing: the nun just knows how to. It's all about how you balance it on yourself. And I'm keeping it simple: heavy 2, heavy, medium 3, 4 light, and you can obviously put lighter things into heavier slots if you're not using them. You can upgrade your burden with glory points. And no one's ever done it. So, and these are just extra little tidbits on that info, but you could ignore it. Wear and tear, and you can use this or ignore it too. It's just about like if you get hit in that 20 hit, as a GM, you can kind of roll like a limb chart and see where they got hit, and then maybe whatever kind of item you think might be there could take damage. You could take a minus D4, so whenever they want to use that item or camping gear, it's at minus D4 until they go get it fixed. That kind of thing. And then it adds up. If it gets hit again, minus D6, and you could do it with their armor if you feel like their armor got badly damaged, and just say, yeah, your helmet got damaged, was at minus D4. Well, the helmet is only a 2, or a regular helmet gives you 1 to defense. And if that get hits and you feel like that was damaged, actually that would just take the helmet out. You don't have the helmet anymore. Goddamn, ruined. Fire damage. I just give an example of what maybe could happen with fire. Torch or fire lit of an arrow gives an extra plus D4 damage. But I would also say minus D4 to hit because it's, and then you just tell them that. And you roll a D4. Here's another thing. If the 4 goes to say 3 or 4, then maybe it increases up to a D6. If you go half and above, then the fire increases. But if it goes down, then the fire dwindles each turn, kind of thing. Obviously, if it's oil, I would give it a D8 from the start, and maybe just go up no matter what because it's oil. If they really got it going, kind of a thing. But yeah, fire is a tricky one because can it burn them? Can it smoke them out? Use common sense, doing that kind of situation, and make sure you make sure they're happy with your conclusion too. If they're frustrated or not, then bring it down a notch, tone it down a little. All right, combat and actions, 2 pages, and actually is less because this is just the denouement, the morale roll that you can hurry up and finish off the combat quickly without them having to kill anybody. And so that's an encouraging part of this game is you don't have to kill everyone. Things will have a desire to flee. So Surprise, you can. That's optional. Whether their secrecy beats out the awareness. Use the best of each one for that. Because I think that the best secrecy is he's telling everyone to be quiet. He's telling everyone what to do, or if he's in a group, and making them all quiet. Ranges is just melee, close, medium, and far, or short. I think I use short or close, whichever. Medium and far. So melee, and it's vague, just what you think, what you feel. And I have not used the penalty -D4, -D6 yet, because none of our encounters have been too far. But if you remember to use it, and if you don't, no big deal. That's and the moves, 2 moves to get to medium. I just guesstimate just how much long do you think it'll take them to get there, kind of thing. So that's how I use ranges. Rounds and turns, everyone gets a turn, whatever. Everyone gets one round represents a matter of seconds of chaos. 1 round is everyone getting a turn. 1 turn for a character is okay. So 1 turn for a character is 1 maneuver, 1 action, or 2 maneuvers. Okay, so that's that basic order of combat. Initiative. I don't do initiative. It's narratively based. Who goes first? Did the cult warriors sneak up on them? Are the cult warriors little fanatical guys with daggers? They might go first. Because the missionaries don't attack first, generally speaking, right? But if they're slow undead, I'll let the missionaries go first. If I feel like I need to have a roll off, then we'll just roll our awareness. Whoever gets the highest, with adding their awareness to it. Also, if someone's heavily armored, I generally have them go later. If they're lightly armored with a smaller weapon, they go first. But if someone has a spear, they go first because they have a reach. If the patron lady has her crossbow and she's ready, she goes first. So it's that. And then I usually kind of, as it goes along, I will just group them. I'll just let them group after the first round or two. And they start to group into, the good guys and the bad guys kind of thing. That's it. Okay. Situational factors, whatever. Plus, high ground, whatever. Maneuvers. So just moving around. Oh, if you don't move and you're going to shoot a crossbow or whatever, you get a +D4 or a gun. Because I got some gun ones. If you don't move that turn. If you want to see cover, you get a D4 defense. If there's cover, if you feel like there's cover in the area, sure. Flanking, get a +D4 to attack. I think I might want to take that out because I made it an upgradable skill. Actually, you get to learn. You become good enough to flank and know how to flank. So I think I'm going to take that out. Actually, I'm going to take this out because it's actually part of upgrading and getting that flanking skill where you just know to attack them from behind. And to me, I feel like that is a skill because you have to be aware to do that. And whenever I train new fighters, they don't know how to flank. So I'm going to take that out right now. Well, let me make a note. I don't want to just start typing here live on camera and I'm taking a note. But I flank upgrade only because new fighters do not flank. You got to teach them that. They tend to come up and face you, when we're doing a little team melee practice, they'll just come up and face you. They won't even be aware. And I'll run off her and flank the other guy and take him down. Okay, guys, I just flanked you guys. So this is what you got to remember. You got to be aware. You got to be, so it's a training thing. All right. Action. So you can do faith, the blessings and all, attack, shoots, do a skill, shield and cover only. So if you want to, I got to remember to tell the cleric this because he has a shield and he can do this. So I forget even my own rules. I wrote these rules and I don't implement them. So aid, you can do an aid. So you can aid somebody. Free action. So you can, I'm very loosey-goosey about this. When the clerics want to bless someone, they can bless them after the fact. Hindsight. I'm fine with that. It just makes the game more fun. It makes the players are more relieved and calm about it, and they're not like, and it's a casual play. So if they want to, if the fighter misses and the cleric says, "Can I bless him one just to get him over the dead?" Go for it. You can do it. Let him. I don't mind. Just play. So I don't mind free actions of blessings and miracles and stuff. Now, I won't allow a free action if you're affecting the enemy, like rebuking them. That's an actual turn. If you're affecting an enemy, then it's a turn. But if it's helping your own, like the nun especially, she has a lot of helping things for players. She can do it. but only once per turn. So you get a free action, but it's once per turn. Not you can't do it for every person on each of their turns, or once per round. Then so yeah, once per round. Impede. You may using aggression versus aggression. You may stop for get in front of someone, wrestle them, grapple them. It's aggression versus aggression. Yelling, intimidation is aggression. I consider, or you can use spirit if you're a clergy, but they usually use rebuke or preach, and that's a skill, but it's also a blessing. So what else? Hindsight rolls. That's what I just explained. We're almost done with the combat, by the way. Nat 1 foibles. This is just a fun little, you roll an Nat 1 and you roll on the table. And what I like is because you have die ranks. If you have like a D6 or D8 or D10 to your sword, to hit. And you roll a Nat 1, and on your die rank roll, the bonus roll, if you roll a 6 or above, you cancel the Nat 1. That so it just says as you get better and better, you know how to avoid these your own fumbles and foibles. And that's what this is. Nat 20 critical, double damage, double dice roll, and a grievous wound. So the grievous wound, I should have it in here. I have it further along, but I should really have a big grievous wound. So whenever you do a Nat 20 critical, you give someone a grievous wound. What is a grievous wound? It's all combining of grievous wounds, afflictions like poison and disease, but it's basically you have a wound that impedes you in combat every turn, minus D4. Now I'm starting off simple by minus D4. If you get another one, it goes to minus D6. If you get another one in the combat, it's minus D8. And these wounds cannot be healed normally, like through the heal. A nun can heal them through a miracle of healing, but only with rest. She can do it over the night type of thing. So if you get a wound in this game, you're at that penalty for a while until you can really get a rest, and a GM's discretion. How much of a rest? Is it overnight? How good of a healing does she do? She does her miracle of healing using her faith points. How much and then she rolls and sees how strong it is. Wow, if she rolls really well, you can be like, wow, she did it right now as you sat there, in the camp. Or she does it fine and does the basic rolls to get it done, then it's overnight. That kind of thing. But remember, if he's at minus D8, he just goes down to minus D6 or minus D4. Doesn't necessarily mean the whole wound, the whole gashing wound or whatever is miraculously healed in that moment. Again, GM discretion, based on rolls, based on how much faith points she puts into it, based on the comforts, the camping gear, the food fed, role play that out. How much does the nun feed them well? Does she make everything comfortable? Is the area clean? All that comes into your mind as you decide whether the miracle of the wound is, or is it a dire situation where he's desperately needed, the warrior or whoever got wounded, or is it a dire evangelical situation where they need to heal someone to, convert the local people? All that kind of weighs into your mind as they roll, as they put their faith points into it, as they pray, and you decide based on that. And remember, everything in here that the characters do, if they fail, I always remind players, you want to do the will of God. You want to serve God, but that doesn't mean it is the will of God. So you can fail. Even if you do these blessings, these prayers, that doesn't mean it's going to go your way. And that's true as Christians anyway. Okay. Denouement. So anytime you decide GM, you can roll a denouement roll. And D4 is for lowly rolls, lowly foes and commoners, that are just being jerks. Hirelings and warriors are ones that are more like, I'm working for someone and I have something to do. Gang bosses, warrior leaders. So if there's a witch or sorcerer around, or someone that's tied to the group, then you get to roll a D8. Leaders is as the sorcerers, witches, or the one that they serve. Then you get everyone gets a D10 to their denouement, and D12 is demonic. They're a zealot, they're drugged, they're possessed, whatever. And so whenever you decide that something has happened that they need a denouement roll, and then these are the basic rolls. So 1 through 4 is pretty much they're gonna want to back off. So so a lowly cultist who's alone fighting the missionaries, anything bad happens to them, they're gonna flee or run or surrender. And so there's an opportunity there for them to convert them. Obviously, if the zealots are the cultists are in a group and they feel more emboldened, you're going to give them a D6 or a D8, and there's a chance that they're going to fight on to the death. So any roll sort of a six or above on these die rank rolls here is going to mean they're going to fight to the death. So that's the denouement situation. And this has come into play quite in almost every combat that I've done with human-based encounters. And you can use it for beasts too. They're not going to surrender. No, they can do all of this, but they're not going to surrender to be converted. But they can certainly move away to try to look for a way out, or move to surrender but still defensive. So they can, bear could be backing off and then ready to run or whatever. And you can, and that can change each turn if you feel like the tide of the battle is changing as well. You can re-roll that if you feel like they might have a renewed sense of evilness, coming on them. And one of the main powers of the witches too is to give their followers fanaticism. Give them a D10 or D12 roll on the denouement, like whether it's through their we must all join. The red cult will fight you to the death, and so all their followers or it could be a drug, it could be whatever they do to get them going. And it's just another. I don't know. I put the limb chart in here for the grievous wounds, where you might think it happens. Optional, then just pass it by if you don't need to use it. That's it. That's combat. That's just 2 pages. I did character creation is this, the character sheet, and explain the character sheet, and then the gear. So really character creation is, I guess 3 pages. A page for the character class and a page for the gear. And not even full pages, right? I just give optional stuff here. Combat is 2 pages, and this works. I'm a DM for 45 years. This works. Now I could, because of my experience, I could be filling in the gaps, but I'm that's why I'm making these videos and providing you with some more information about this. Game mechanics. So this is just stuff to fill the gaps, I guess, to explain. I'm explaining the die ranks. The biggest one here is die rank result. I'm using this a lot. Okay, die rank result, DRR, is say for heal. They're going to heal somebody. Not through the faith or blessing, because that's an automatic success or whatever. But they're going to use their medicine skill, their healing skill. Then they can roll anything above a 12. Let's say they roll, and it has to be 4 above 12. So if they get 12 and they get a 4 above 12, they get a D4. So if you get a D4, you heal them. You roll a D4, and then you get to heal them D4 points, vitality points. And it can also be like the prayer. If they want to do prayer and they're trying to get inspiration points, inspired die, I should say, dice, inspired die. They got to roll, and if they get above a 12, 12 minus whatever number. So if they get 6 above 12, they get an 18. They get a D6 to their inspired die. So that's what DRR is: die rank result over a 12. Now anything below a 4. So if they get 15, 15, then they don't get anything. Then they succeeded or whatever they did, but they don't get any sort of die ranks. They did a good job, or whatever it is. But they can certainly succeed just by succeeding. But if there is a need or an opportunity to add a die for something, then that's what DRR is for. Trade skill. This is sort of me deciding or kind of thinking about. It comes more into play in the apocalyptic and the sci-fi settings I have. Trade skill. But basically what it is, and I'm using it here too, so I've decided to use it here as well. Instead of using gold coin, denarii, Solaris, or coins in a coin market, I've decided to use a trade skill. Whenever you get treasure, instead of detailing out all these treasures and counting, which is fine, but instead of using that, I just say this treasure is a plus D6. So if you get this treasure and you take it back to the church, well, you give it to the church, but then I say your portion is plus D6. So you get now a trade skill of social plus D6. And when you go try to buy some armor or gear, that's what you trade with. And I'll have a trade skill of the merchant or blacksmith, and then opposing rolls. So if they win, they get a really good deal depending on how high their roll is above the other person's. If they lose, then the other person raises the price or doesn't, or it's not available, just depending on how much, And if they do win and get something, their die rank goes down, right? If they did get the armor, then their die rank goes from D6 to D4, or it could go down to 0, depending on, I feel like how what that trade was like. So that's trade skill. And they all can have their own trade skill based on what treasure or what they get or what, maybe, and they can upgrade that skill, by the way. They can actually upgrade it so that they have their own, trade skill inherent, that they just know how to barter. All right, so narrative dice. So this is an optional rule. These are like optional things too. Narrative dice is that if you roll a 1 on the die ranks, like if you have an extra D4 and you roll a 1, something bad happens, but only in a narrative sense. Only like you get the freedom to say something silly or dumb that happens. If they roll a 6 or higher, so you would need a D6 or higher, something cool happens in the situation. But also that 6 can take out the fumble. The other thing I like to say though is if they do it in hindsight, I don't use the narrative dice. Well, except maybe the negative, but I don't let them have a positive to the narrative dice. But I haven't really played it that much. We're too much into the game, and I'm not too worried about that. I kind of skip over that a lot. Missionary resistance. So missionaries, Christians have resistance to fear and all that. So regulars that are pagans don't have resistance to the fear of the demon or witch or ghost or spirit. They're just afraid. Minus D4. They're minus D4. And I decided to take out duration. Instead of it being minus D4 for 5 rounds, it's minus D4 until the situation changes. And that makes it much easier for all purpose intents for GMs too. So if the characters do fail their resistance, they get to roll. If they do fail, they're at minus D4 or minus D6, whatever the number is, minus D8 if it's a T-Rex or whatever the number is there. They're at that until they can roll resist again every turn. And you decide that, is it a 12 resistance, roll 14, 16, whatever. But they can save resist, or if they finally take down the T-Rex and now the fear is gone. So there's no duration. I try to avoid duration. I try to make it so that now, because it says tedium when you're in the game or in the combat or whatever situation, and I'd rather not keep counting those down. I'd rather just, oh yeah, it's over. Now it's over. So there's that. Trial rating resistance. That just explains the TR, which is the 12 trial rating, and then how you can change it. On compelling upgrades. So compelling upgrades is a fun one. Whenever a person does something that surprises you and they roll a nat 20 or something, you can give them that. Suddenly they get that skill. So like in this example, a patron lady totally did something that I for a while said, no, you can't do that. Because like a GM, I'm like a D&D 5e guy. You can't do that. But then I was like, you know what? You can do that. She wanted to take a rock in her cart and then drop it on someone. And I was like, you can't grab that from him and do it over them. It's just too much, I was like that. I'm like, you know what? Why am I doing this? Yes, you can do that. I didn't think she'd do it. I succeed because the armor, the defense of the ogre-y big dude with his helmet was really high. I was like, whatever, just roll. Nat 20! Oh my gosh, and then she rolled a 6 on the die 6 because I gave it to her an extra bonus because he was eating her food and got hit by the cleric, and so was somewhat distracted. And so I give her that skill. I said, you now have a rock dropping skill off your card plus D4. So whenever she wants to do that again, she gets a D4 normal just naturally, and then she can upgrade that as well. When missionaries argue, just if they argue and then have them roll off and stuff. Women's rules. So this is my women. Can't go above aggression 4. Personal experience of 15 years of medieval combat. When resting, women get an additional second D4 bonus to skills in aiding, healing, or comforting others. Okay, so they get an extra D4. Personal experience, 27 years of marriage. Okay, plus my own mother, so I guess 54 years of experience. Intervention. Oh, so this is just if they die, you can kind of give them a one chance thing where they see Jesus and Jesus says, your job's not, or an angel. Oh, this is the angel one. Okay, but there's also a passing death one that I think I mentioned somewhere else. Oh yeah, this is it. Anyway, so either one, angel or Jesus, and your mission is not done yet, but the next time you see me, you will remain at my side forever. So that's a way of, if they all die, you can kind of give them this, they're all depressed or whatever, but then you can say, you see Jesus or an angel, you see Jesus and he says, your mission here is not done yet, but the next time you see me, you will remain with me forever. So I feel like I haven't used it yet, but I feel like that'd be a cool way of like them getting back into the game. But they know now this is it. If you do die, you got, you're going to Jesus. So, okay. Passing of day and night, just whatever, flip flap. You as a GM, just for the most part, I don't even worry about that. And if something's happening at night, considering that they're all generally human, I'll give them all. No one gets a penalty because they're all at penalty. And just shorten the range of the scene or whatever. Die ranks above 12 is where it costs you, just 4. if you want to do a D4, it costs you 4 glory points now, not just 1 for the first die ranks. Die bonus for D20 rolls only. I don't know what this is. Oh, yeah. So if you do a die bonus, if you get any die rank modifiers, it only adds to a D20 roll. It doesn't add to like faith or blessing rolls or to damage or whatever. Those, that sort of thing. Especially inspired die. If you get inspired die, like inspiration points, you can't use it for your damage roll. You have to use it for a D20 roll. Power of prayer, it's just they get to pray. Christians, we get to pray, and then gives us inspired points for the adventure. And I generally just let them do 1 per session, kind of thing. Faith and blessings for all. Anyone can gain the faith and blessings that the cleric and nun know. Anyone, like the patron lady can, the warriors can decide to, so anyone can do it. They just have to role play that out. They have to go to the cleric, the nun, sit with them, spend time with them, in the monastery, in the church, once they plan a church, role play that out, and they have to buy it with glory points. Inspired die, I kind of explained that throughout as I was talking. So that's it for, there's a little more here, but that's it for game mechanics. Well, there's one more. Okay, so life and death and the conditions of pain and stuff. And this just explains, you get life saves. If you drop to 0 vitality, they get life saves, and that's explained in here. Grievous wounds is explained in here. So if you get a grievous wound, it's right here. And then conditions. So I simplify it. If you're diseased, poisoned, that's part of grievous wounds. So they all add up and they're dangerous. Because I think if I have a flu and I'm fighting in combat, everything is just going to be more painful, and I'm going to die quicker. So that, to me, that's part of wounds is having this poison. So it's all combined. And every time like they get an affliction, you could just say affliction. It combines because you only have 5 ranks of affliction. So a tough guy to a nun, same five ranks of afflictions, and then if you go past that, you are dead. No life saves. So that's like a serious situation. Now in the tougher games, and as you progress, you could do this. And I don't know if I mentioned it here, but I think I do. But you can do it based on like a battle axe would give you a grievous wound of D10, minus D10 just to begin. As soon as it gives you a crit, boom, ow. But that's going to be for more of the grim, tougher game situations where like settings that I plan on doing in the future. So, but I think it's an option here. I know I put it in there somewhere. I'm working on this one, Dark Ages. I'm working on post-apocalyptic, and I'm working on Christian sci-fi setting, all at the same time. I go back between all 3 of them. The problem is that when I get a new idea, I don't remember which one I put it in, or like a little thing, like that. Did I put it in the apocalyptic one, or in this one, or is it still in this one? Because I do try to keep them together, but anyway. Okay, so that's the game. Now, the Power of Faith here explains how to use, especially faith and blessings. So this is the deliverance, the duration, the deluge is right here. And then the optional duress is you can add a faith point to make it harder to resist. So it's normally T12 or trial rating. Why did I say T? It should be TR. Trial rating 12. That's fine. To resist. Okay, added to the default. I'm just trying to make this shorter so it doesn't just have one word here. Whatever. Okay. So there's duress and distance are all optional. Distance though is just based on are they spending a lot of faith points in it? Then you can give them a longer range. So that's not even, it's free. Duress is, but if they're only spending 1 faith point, then like to heal somebody, they can't be over there. They gotta be close. But if they're spending 6 or 5 faith points to make D12 heal on someone way over there, that's fine. If they're way over there because you're desperately trying to heal them. So that's it. You're spending faith points just to get these die ranks. You get 1 for D4, 2 for D6, and they affect the different how many, how much, and how long. Okay. And this is just an optional rule where I said that if you run out of faith points, you can then use your vitality to give you more faith points, and you weaken your exhaustion. So these are the different optional blessings and miracles that they use, the clergy and the nun. And this is clergy and nun is the guide. So if a clergy wanted to get, say, miracle of healing, because that's such a big one, I will allow it, but I don't encourage it at the beginning. I encourage it later as they witness the nun do it. Then they go and talk to the nun and ask, how can I do that as well? And pray with me. And, they can use glory points to buy that new blessing. And the paladin has some here. All they've used right now is glory. And we've only had a few. Well, I've only had one or two. Yeah, that's weird. I don't have that many paladins in my play testing. I've only had one or two. And they've only gotten the glory one. So haven't tested that much. Woman's Touch. Now this is for women, the nun and the patron lady. They can pick these and buy these, upgrade these or whatever. And these are great. The one used fanning quite a bit, mothering, cleaning, things that I, for 54 years have experienced with women that men do not do. Now men can do them. They just don't do them the way women can. I should have a, outdoor yard work. That's an inherent man thing. And I've fallen into that category. Okay, so this is like literally the final thing here, glory points. So glory points are what you gain after each session. And I just came up with this new rule with a playtester of mine in the sci-fi one, is that you should get 1 glory point for showing up. So everyone gets a glory point for showing up. Do I have that on here? Yeah, there it is. I typed that out the other day and I put it in the Dark Ages one. So you get 1 for showing up, and then you get 1 for doing any of these. You get 1, or any of these and any of these. So you can get up to, I would say, within every hour. Well, you get 1 for showing up, and then maybe 1 extra per hour, but only if the hour is successful at doing something. The main things is like, do you convert or change a foe, from being hostile? The other one is, do you stop the plot, the leader, the pagan leader, whatever, get that going, that level. And then this one is the church. Do you plant the church, successfully plant a church? Do you successfully finance that church? And so that, if you do both, it's still 1 glory point, but in that hour, for that hour. Okay. And then you buy, this is where all the different options, of things that you can upgrade. And yeah, it's that open. That's so you don't go up levels. You're not limited to going up to 10th level. You just constantly upgrade little bits of your guy. And obviously when you hit D12, you probably want to cap it there for to hit or damage, and then start working on other skills or rounding out your character with other things. And then at some point you can even, if you do want to add that second die, you got to just save up glory points to do it. And this is just advice, fun advice, silly advice. Especially on behavior, and the rest of this now is the GM's guide, and I'll go over that on another time. But or I've gone through it. But I wanted to go over the game, the 20 pages of the game, and how you really every 2 pages covers something. And look, I don't really even start till page 7, so the rules are 13 pages, less than 13 minus these 2, so 11 pages of rules. I would say that, to me, cover everything you need. You know what? I think I should print. I will make I wrote it in my notes. I will make a smaller PDF that has just the rules, so that's all you got to do is print that out, and maybe not even. Yeah, I don't think I need the character classes in there, but I guess I'll put them in there. But just the rules, so it's much easier to do that. That's like the DM screen is these couple pages too. The DM screen is just, yeah. Anyway, so that's my video on explaining the basics of this and how can you just do it. You gotta practice. You gotta get at least 2 people. 3 is really probably better. You can even use a starter kit, give them those characters, the character ones that I have pre-made, and just try it out. You gotta break the glass ceiling on this. You gotta break the confusion in your own mind that how do you GM this, and just do it. Just make act like a pagan, and just act like a curmudgeon, basically, who's trying to grift the locals with whatever thing, and then they basically have to give him their sacrificial offerings, and then give him 1 little means ability or whatever. But anyway, that's in the GM section. But that's it. That's the game, and I love this. I'm having a great time with this. It's very open-ended. The characters can keep going. There's no limit. They can do whatever they want. They can pursue different skills and talents. And I don't have talents, but I was thinking about doing it. I did have it in the previous version. I took them all out, all those talents and feats and stuff. I don't miss them. I thought I would, but I don't miss them at all in this, because skills is basically the same thing. They just figure out a skill and go with it, and it's very simple. It's not like a paragraph of talents. It's just nice and simple and straightforward. I might add them in as an add-on, like a thing where you have 5 pages of talents that you can pick from and buy and then upgrade those. Because I did have them in a previous version of this, so I might have that. And I do have it as abilities for the creatures, the charge and whatever else I have in there, roar. So I do have those in there. Anyway, that's it for this. I hope this was helpful. I appreciate y'all contacting me and letting me know, encouraging me. I know this is a tough gig here, what I'm doing, because said it before, but I'll say it again. Christians don't believe we should be doing role-playing games. Christians that do role-playing games like Dungeons & Dragons, 5e, don't think we should be putting our faith into it. And the pagans agree with you. So maybe try doing something else. And let's bring Christianity back into taking credit for what it really has been, a force for good in society, in our history. Christianity has been that force for good. It has been chivalry. It has been romance, a man and a woman romance. That's Christian. Chivalry, romance, justice, compassion, loving the enemy. That's a huge one. We need to take that back. We need to take the credit back for that so that they don't erase it and then replace it with paganism. And once paganism takes full control, we're going back to Roman times where we were used as city lights lit up on fire to light their cities, or used for their entertainment in their arenas. So we gotta get back into the culture and with our faith, not put our faith aside, not be happy and open to what their paganism and doing their paganist things, but bring our faith in and stand firm on that. All right, thanks for watching. I'm not a pastor, though. I'll tell you that right now. I do not want that level of responsibility before Christ. All right.